Best Bet show here, the three-man weave and the field of 68. But second day of games, we're all breathing a big exhale after 120 yesterday. I sure am. Hey guys, we're sponsored by BetRivers. Matt, Kai, how we feeling after yesterday?
Jim, I'm feeling okay. A lot of surprises, a lot of upsets, a lot of very unexpected results. Missouri State, Matt, your parents' alma mater, losing to SEMO, among others. Yikes. Hey, day two, maybe more surprises. It's still college basketball. It's very exciting.
Yeah, I feel like I jinxed the Bears. I gave my mother 2 shout outs in yesterday's show, so may have been some bad voodoo magic there. I felt like yesterday was just a bunch of the Spider-Man memes thrown into one collage where it's like, well, you lost to that team. Whoa, you lost to that team. It's like Ohio State and Missouri State and all these teams that
Ohio State won. Don't slander them.
Yeah, but I mean, God, so ugly. Yeah, a lot of teams actually did not win. Indiana, my alma mater, another team that escaped by the hair of the chinny chin chin.
Ohio State won.
It was a dog barking opening day, Jim.
God.
So we'll see if that continues. But for those trying to bet the large favorites like us here at Three Man Weave, the Spinny endorsers, it was not a profitable endeavor yesterday. So this hat needs to be burned, but I will wear it in its out of memoriam today.
Yeah, Matt, put some numbers for you there. Away dogs went 60-46 against the spread, almost 57% cover rate.
Wow.
And unders went 68-49 in all games. If you take out overtime, 60% unders, 60% of the games. So that is a wonderful trend if you are not into betting fun. But hey, if you can stomach it, it was extremely profitable yesterday. We'll see if that continues today. Let's get into the games that are going on today. It is not quite the star-studded slate that we had yesterday, but we've got a top 5 team playing, Kai. That is Michigan hosting Buffalo, and this is a home favorite. It's a really high-quality team that we think should be ready to rock early in the year, but they're playing the MAC co-favorite-ish with Ohio. This feels a little bit like Louisiana Tech at Alabama yesterday,
where
it's a really, really good team going on the road against, maybe a favorite that is incorporating some new parts, only 2.5 starters back for Michigan. Kai, do you see this going the same way, or the Wolverines going to blow them out?
I mean, I was shocked by the La Tech Alabama result. I thought the Bulldogs give them a little bit of a better run. No, I tend to lean towards Buffalo here. The line's gotten down. It's 12.5 right now at BetRivers.
It's got hammered.
It's been bet down about
15.5. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. 3 points here. That's big movement, obviously. Buffalo is no cakewalk, Matt. As many out there know, MAC favorites along with Ohio. Tons of athleticism, more than you normally see at the mid-major level. These guys are power conference caliber athletes. My one worry is inside, right? Hunter Dickinson has a huge size advantage over Josh Mballa, but he's also the MAC Defensive Player of the Year. He's a beast on the glass. He maybe can hold his own a little bit. I'm leaning Buffalo more so, Matt, because of Michigan's need to integrate all these new pieces. Only 3 key returners from last year. Maybe it takes them a little bit of time to get going. So I'm leaning the Bulls here.
I wussed out. I was also leaning the Bulls. Line open 15.5, like you said, down to 12.5 most places. 3 points on the overnight is a seismic move. The Josh Mballa versus Hunter Dickinson matchup will be very intriguing up front. However, Buffalo has a under the radar, solid, true traditional center in Brock Bertram, 6'11".
They're going to need
big
him.
Brock. They're going to need him. I'm not saying he's going to shut down Hunter Dickinson, and I expect Hunter to get his. This will not be like a giant versus little mini mites out there. This is, Buffalo has some real prolific pro style athletes. Jim, I think the La Tech comparison is very apt. Another thing there is that this game should play pretty fast with the way Buffalo wants to run, and Michigan has no hesitation to do that as well. So it will play to a higher number. But I'm with you. I think it should be around what it settled at. I just missed the number, so I'm going to sit back and watch.
Yeah, you airballed it. What are you doing? Come on, buddy. I'm curious to see. I talked about this a little bit with Dickinson in the offseason, just since that UCLA game and then forcing him to his other shoulder, whether he's able to actually add that move to his repertoire. He's phenomenal going over his right shoulder with his left hand. But if Buffalo watched any of that tape, they're going to force him middle when he's on that left block. And we'll see if he's added any counter moves, because it's going to be enormous against a very athletic squad in Buffalo. I'm with you guys. I leaned towards Buffalo, but the value has been gobbled up by the market. My goodness. All right, let's keep going down the line. Detroit at Wyoming coming up next. It is not, like I said, the slate is not quite as strong. Yesterday's game 2 was Duke Kentucky, and here we are with Detroit at Wyoming. But
tough undercard.
We love all 358 of our babies the same. It's okay. Matt, will Detroit continue its shootout ways? Last year, an absolutely lethal team from beyond the arc, and they continue to be led by Antoine Davis. So it sort of seems like probably a couple transfers brought in that can shoot as well. Your boy Noah Waterman also back. Wyoming lacks athletes, but they're really well coached. Jeff Linder's fantastic, and I know you love your boy Graham Ike.
I love a lot of boys on both these teams. Just kind of a mid-major menagerie of players that we all like on both squads. I think in general undervalued by the market currently. If Bull Cool, I'm not sure I'm saying his name correctly, but if he was back for Detroit this year, he was kind of a Swiss Army knife destroyer in the Horizon last season. I think he would eat in this matchup. His absence, I think, gives Wyoming a chance to hold their own and sort of negate that athleticism and to some degree talent advantage, although I think it's pretty on par. And Jim, you mentioned Ike is, I think, the breakout star to watch for Wyoming. He's the one who can really correct all the interior defensive flaws that emerged last season for this team. Kai, we know Wyoming can score. It's data, Braid, Moneyball, Jeff Linder. They shoot threes. They don't let you shoot threes. They make you take inefficient shots. They don't take any themselves. That always gives them like an analytic edge that's probably worth a point or two in the betting markets. Not sure it's being captured here in the opener. I'm going to stay away. One more thing too. Wyoming at home, always tough place to go on the road.
Yeah, definitely. That's certainly a point. And you mentioned the coaching. I mean, I'm taking Jeff Linder all day over Mike Davis here in the coaching matchup. But
poor Mike.
I know it's nothing really against Mike Davis. I just think Linder's an awesome coach. But Marcus Williams, that loss for Wyoming, their point guard from last year, that's huge. They do bring almost everyone back, but he was kind of the heart and soul of that team last year. We know Detroit can score. They're coming off an excellent year. They have the best player on the floor, Antoine Davis. So honestly, the spread feels a little bit high to me. I'm leaning towards Detroit. I don't like going against Wyoming's home court, especially coming back with actual fans, but I'm leaning towards Detroit in this one.
Yeah, this one's pretty spot on to me. I think this one's going to be an interesting test for total because not a lot of the really high, like 150 plus totals got there yesterday. Thinking of like Nebraska, Western Illinois, UMBC, UMass got up there, did not cover. And this one was high. It's been bet down a little bit, down to 152 at BetRivers. Seems like people are onto that. Curious if this one plays as fast. And Matt, if Detroit goes zone, that could slow the tempo because they like to muck it up and force you to take some longer possessions offensively.
Yeah, no, that we saw Davis play a lot of 2-3 zone last season, ton of length. So that could bother Wyoming. It takes them out of their offensive rhythm. So yeah, I think a lot of factors pointing toward the under. I won't endorse at 152 though. I like it. I wish I could have got it at 154, 155 at the opener.
Yeah, the tempo it feels like it has to run fast, but both teams really like to get up and down. All right, next one. Let's go out to the islands. We're going out to the islands early, guys. Everyone's just waking up, having a cup of coffee in Hawaii, but Pacific and Northern Colorado will be playing out there today in the Rainbow Classic. Kai, how about that?
Yes.
This is an interesting test for Leonard Perry's first game in charge Pacific, taking over for Damon Stoudemire, who is now on the Boston Celtics bench as an assistant. It's kind of a balanced team, Pacific. We never really have a star with them, but they have their point guard back. But on the other hand, Northern Colorado, it's appropriate to go to them right after Wyoming.
Right.
They're coached by Jeff Linder's protege, Steve Smiley. Same type of data rate stuff that Matt was talking about, really efficient basketball, avoid the mid-range, get your guys the best possible shots. Is that enough of an advantage for is it Bears? Northern Colorado Bears?
Bears.
In my mind.
The real
Bears
UNC.
on the island.
The real UNC.
The real UNC.
Yeah, this is the Outrigger Resorts Rainbow Classic gym.
One and only.
How dare I disrespect Outrigger Resorts by not mentioning them?
Yeah, and this is another game that got absolutely slammed this morning. It was up to Northern Colorado +4, +3.5. Now it's down to +1 at BetRivers. That's a huge movement. Once again, we saw with Buffalo as well. I think last year is an outlier for Northern Colorado. They weren't that great, let's be honest. But Steve Smiley, Jim, like you mentioned, great coach. They bring basically everyone back. Add some firepower with Drew Cookshausen coming over from McNeese.
More shooting.
Lights out shooter. And I think losing Damon Stoudemire for Pacific is huge. Leonard Perry has experience as a head coach. He was the former head coach of Idaho. He's been on staff, but Stoudemire really lifted the program in my eyes. This could be a down year for them. So I am at +1. I'm not taking Northern Colorado's day on the show, but I still lean their way. Loved it earlier at +4, +3.
Yeah, I might shoot from the hip here and take a last second off the cuff Northern Colorado take for my best bet. The more I think about this, the more everything just leans toward the Bears. Kai, you mentioned the Pacific coaching change. The identity of Pacific the last 2 seasons was so set in stone. It was 10 to 12 guys. They all bought in. Stoudemire just played a pretty consistent bench, no star power. Athletes get to the glass, attack the rim, defend like gangbusters. I'm not saying they're going to lose that completely, but there is some question marks. And teams that had those coming in yesterday anecdotally seem to do poorly. Right, Northern Colorado, while they struggled last year, I think they know who they are. Strong continuity. Dalen Kuntz, former Colorado down transfer, he's sort of the catalyst there. A really strong player. I think you're going to see a big bounce back this season, and it starts tonight for the Bears out on the island.
Yeah, Matt, I'm with you. I think Northern Colorado +1. I'm actually going to take that as an official show play. However, we're designating those not the best bet for the day, but
off to a tough start. Sorry, off to a tough start this year.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Northern. It's early. We bounce back, long season. But yeah, I'm with you. Northern Colorado. Okay, another team out west, New Mexico. A lot of change going on there. They got a new coach taking over in Richard Pitino, brand new backcourt with Jalen House and Jamal Mashburn Jr. to go with Jeremiah Francis, the old North Carolina transfer. They're taking on Florida Atlantic, another team that was, not as, it didn't quite live up to expectations last year. Two teams that they've got some question marks here too, Kai, with injuries. Saquon Singleton out for New Mexico. Brian Greenlee, the starting point guard for FAU, potentially out as well. Valdir Manuel, New Mexico's starting center, is suspended. Where do you look at this one with all the potential personnel absences?
Yeah, the fact that FAU is favored at New Mexico tells you the state of the program right now for the Lobos. Yeah. Pretty sad, especially at a home floor that used to be scary, a house of horrors to go into. We definitely think New Mexico is bouncing back this year, at least in some fashion. Right. Richard Pitino doesn't inspire a whole lot of confidence in me, but I do think they're going to be much better. Dusty May is a coach that always outperforms expectations, or at least anecdotally, Matthew. He's done a great job down there at FAU. The roster's just kind of lacking. If Brian Greenlee's out today, you can't like the Owls in this game. I'm not a huge New Mexico fan either without Manuel, without Singleton. So if anything, I'm leaning the under in this game and staying away from the side.
This is my second best bet. You guys pretty much hit it on the head. I like New Mexico. It's just a great home spot. The pit should be bananas, and we haven't seen the pit be like that in a year now. New Mexico, one of the strictest COVID states we saw last season, with how New Mexico and Mexico State had to basically leave the state to practice, play half their home games away. There's something I think boiling there with just this excitement to play in front of their home fans. The injury should not be glossed over, though. It's basically 2 starters you're going to be without for New Mexico. Manuel is a massive shot blocker, a racer up front. So you got to worry about the interior defense to some degree. But I still like the Lobos. Just a tough spot here for FAU coming across the country from Florida to play in New Mexico.
Yeah, New Mexico is going to have to bank on Jethro Muscadin, the Kansas transfer, who did not play in either of their exhibitions. So you're a little bit concerned. I think he was getting back in shape for the second one. We're going to need to see a little bit of rim protection from him. If you're going to be on the Lobos, I lean that way. But unlike Northern Colorado, I think this one's moved a little too much for me to
I'm just
as an official one on the show.
I believe it's pick most places right now, so I'll pencil in as my
+1 BetRivers, Matthew. A sponsor of our show.
Thank you, BetRivers, for sponsor. Maybe they juiced up the line just for me. It's like they knew I was taking this. I appreciate that, BetRivers. Odds makers behind the counter.
I felt the spinny hat coming. They were like, let's give them that extra point.
I know we need the boost today. All right, best bet number 2, and that'll be my only one of my last one on the slate today.
Okay. Well, come on. You save some suspense. Maybe there will be another one.
Yeah, I might just fire one.
There you go.
That's not a good show. That's not a good show, Matthew.
Shot fake.
All right, head back east, guys, to UCF, to Orlando, a little bit of Central Florida hosting Robert Morris. This is an interesting one where it is the big home favorite taking on the dog, but usually we've seen a lot of continuity in the mid-major teams with all the super seniors they bring back. That is not the case with Robert Morris. All kinds of transfers coming into Andy Toole's team, whereas UCF brings basically everyone back. And it might be 100% of their scoring from last year back. Maybe it's 98. But so a ton of continuity for the Knights. Very ballyhooed potential dark horse in the American. Matt, are you going with the dog? Even though they have been bet, the line has been hit pretty hard.
Yeah, I won't endorse it as an official show play, but I did hop in on Robert Morris before the money came in. Yeah, the Colonials are due for a bounce back this season. Andy Toole, last season, first year in the new Horizon landscape, talked about how they came into a new playground, had no size. He blamed himself for poor roster management. So he addressed that pretty emphatically this offseason. He brought in Justin Winston, can't say his name, from St. Bonnie, Matt Myers, of a highly lauded JUCO dude, Brandon Stone from LaSalle, like some real enforcers up front to plug the holes that they had last season. Got some really good guards, Michael Green and Rasheem Dunn, two jitterbug, dynamic
Speedsters.
playmakers. They can go.
Mhm.
I think this team has enough firepower to hang with who they playing already.
UCF, very long UCF.
UCF, yeah, a lot of length.
Yeah.
But it's a different UCF team than we've seen like in the past with Taco Fall. It's more of a guard-oriented team now.
Yeah, I worry about size for Robert Morris. That's going to be a huge problem. But he did add major talent. Toole did in the offseason. Like you said, Dunn, you mentioned Green from Bryant. Farron Flavors, another guy who played in a power conference last year, Oklahoma State. And Matt Myers. Matt is his first name, Myers. JUCO All-American.
Yeah, right.
JUCO All-American in the forward position. They need him a lot in this game because CJ Walker and Jong are going to have kind of a field day, I think, on the glass. The size disparity is huge, but Andy Toole, for me, much better coach than Johnny Dawkins. I expect him to try to slow this tempo down to sort of a crawl, execute in the half court. So that's enough points for me. Again, 18.5 would have been a lot better. At 16.5 on BetRivers, I'm going to just call that one a lean, Jim.
Yep, I'm staying away where it's at right now. The length and size matters in the backcourt too. Like Green is not a big dude.
Yeah,
Darius Perry can blanket him. A former Rick Pitino recruit tells you how he gets after it defensively. So yeah, a little concern all the way across the board for that. But a bigger number, I might consider Robert Morris. All right, hey, which one of you is tracking the chat questions? We've got some games to get to. It's not a huge slate, Kai, but there's certainly some questions coming in.
Well, we're going to hit a bunch of games anyways, so we'll probably hit all these questions. Number one, Long Beach versus Idaho. This is the only main board game we don't have on our slate today to talk about on the show formally. Jim, I believe you had a take on this one. I'm staying far away.
Well, it was mostly an anti-Idaho take, but
right.
I found my beach at 6, but the line is up to 7.5 at BetRivers, so I am not going to be recommending the beach. And it's kind of been a common weave theme over the past few seasons.
At the beach, baby.
Beach apologists, and it has not always gone well.
It's been okay.
But
it's okay.
You know, I just, this Idaho team, they have like 2 Grand Canyon transfers that are decent, but the roster is still a bit of shambles. And I haven't seen anything from Zach Claus that makes me believe he's the right coach for the job there. So yeah, a little bit of a lean towards Long Beach at 7.5, but that number's too high to truly recommend it.
Yeah, Idaho's bad, Kai. We've learned that the last 2 years.
They're really bad.
The roster this year looks better. They look the best that he's had in the last 3 seasons, but it's still net bad. So
that is damning with faint praise, right there.
Yes, exactly.
Mike Barrera says, thoughts on a 5.5 point teaser? Admittedly, I don't bet teasers myself, but still good conversation perhaps here. Buffalo plus 21 and Gardner Webb plus 16.
Yeah, I mean, I like those numbers.
Yeah.
Teasers scare me because the extra juice you're paying, you have to win both games. I'm spooked by it. The numbers are solid, but I have a hard time recommending teasers.
Yeah. Can I give the old Family Feud?
No from you.
Yeah, I like UNLV. So I think that's a game where Gardner Webb could be. I love Gardner Webb's backcourt. Young, prolific shot makers. But UNLV, it's sort of like Caillou, the whispers about St. Mary's being really good. We've heard similar things about UNLV from the offseason stuff with Baby Kruger taking over the helm. I think the Running Rebs are going to look really good early.
Yeah, Running Rebels versus Running Bulldogs. There are a couple of running mascots out there today. I did see a stat on Twitter that Tim Kraft is like 46-28 as an underdog since taking over at Gardner Webb. He's been very, very feisty in that position.
How about Alcorn State? Back-to-back games for Alcorn State. The Braves.
They are playing 6 teams today.
They're headed to Seattle U. Seattle U, of course, has some controversy right now with their head coach, Jim Hayford. I'm guessing he's going to get fired. I don't think anything has been announced yet. Matt, what do you think? Back-to-back days, you like the Braves in this one, or do you think Seattle rallies around their coach being gone and kills them?
Yeah, my lean is towards Seattle. The whole Hayford thing is a mystery. I don't know how that shakes out. Jim, you watched Alcorn a little bit yesterday against Wazoo. Did they feisty? Did they impress you?
They were pretty feisty. A lot of pressure. Definitely the genes of the coaching
Prairie View
tree.
roots.
Yeah, the coaching tree was showing. They were getting after it, and Wazoo's got some pretty solid guards with Flowers and Roberts and Noah Williams, and they still gave them problems. It's just, is that pressure going to have the juice playing the second game in 2 days?
Yeah, right.
That's a little bit concerning. They're on the road way out west. It's a stay away from me.
Agree.
I might be interested in the over if I wasn't scared off by the back-to-back aspect.
Back to you, Jim.
Back to me. All right. Let's move on down through the outline, guys. A couple other main board games to get to. First off, we got William and Mary at Wake Forest, the battle of the W's, Demon Deacons versus the Tribe. Steve Forbes, year 2 for the Deacons, kind of a cobbled together roster, you could say. A lot of transfers, but there's also been whispers of hype about this team, Matt. Apparently they looked good in their exhibitions, and especially Jake LaRavia, the Indiana State transfer, potentially could dominate inside. William and Mary, not a very strong, stout team in the interior. Had some really inefficient guards last year, and they lost Luke Lowy, Kai, the most efficient of that backcourt. I'm a little nervous for a young William and Mary team on the road against the Wake Forest team that seems to be finding itself.
Yep. I think Wake Forest is a year ahead of. Oh, sorry, Kai.
Matt,
did you say Kai?
I love it. Take the mic.
Kai, I have a hot take here. I love Wake Forest. I do. I'm sorry. Steve Forbes is my guy. Last season, forget about it. He reconstructed his roster. He now has athletes and size, which was the blueprint for his success at East Tennessee State. He's kind of he's very optimistic usually, and he's overflowing with excitement about this roster. So coach speak always take with a grain of salt. I'm buying into it though. I think this is a men versus boys type of matchup against William Mary. That is a athletic, depleted team, young, still trying to sort of rebuild. And was it year 3 or year 2 of the post Shaver era?
Yeah, year 3, I believe.
Year 3, yeah.
Dane
year
Fisher,
1, he had Nathan Knight. And
he inherited the awesome roster,
like,
right?
Oh, okay, great.
Yep.
Yep. This is the rebuild.
Yeah, Bill and Mary, they have everyone back, but they're still really, really young. This is a team that is a year or 2 away, I think, from being solid. And they're going to struggle, I think, against high majors because of the lack of athleticism, because of the lack of size. Wake Forest is a team that now has a bunch of pieces that can just probably overwhelm them. So I think the size is too much. Spread's obviously pretty high right now.
The spread's high.
At 15 at BetRivers. I would lean towards Wake Forest. It could be a blowout.
Yeah, nothing for me. I think the number's a little high to take Wake, but I like Wake a lot this year. So staying away. I guess maybe I'm just like high on William and Mary accidentally. I didn't intend to do this season, but it seems it resulted that way. All right, Matt, let's go to another coach you're absolutely obsessed with. That is Micah Shrewsbury at Penn State.
The Shrewsberries taste like Shrewsberries.
They are hosting the Penguins of Youngstown State, a team that loses its star and Darius Quisenberry, also another key piece transferred to Clemson. Young roster for Youngstown State. Terrible defense last year, like abominable defense last year. Are they going to be able to get stops against what we think will be a pick and roll heavy scheme for the Nittany Lions led by Jalen Pickett, the Siena transfer?
It's just I want to bet Penn State a lot this season. I feel like that's going to be an undervalued team. I don't know if this is the spot to do it first game of the year, especially with how we saw large favorites play yesterday. In Youngstown, they lose some key pieces, but Rathan Mays is a stud sophomore point guard that's coming up. They got some other guys that can make plays. I kind of feel like Youngstown makes enough shots and hangs around, but I don't think they stop Penn State at all. I don't feel like the defensive deficiencies were addressed. I'm blanking on who the other front court piece is for Youngstown, but it's basically they have him and there's no one else. There's no support up front. And Penn State, Jim, as you mentioned, can get that pick and roll action going. I think they score pretty easily, Kai.
Are you backing yourself into an overtake?
Maybe. No, I'm afraid of overs. That Jim, the Undertaker vibes were strong yesterday. Not doing it.
60% to the under.
Not doing it.
Makes you nervous.
Can't do it.
Numbers of 147 feels a little high.
It does feel high.
Don Akuchi, Matt Youngstown. I don't know.
Akuchi. I think it's Akuchi. That's right. Thank you.
Word is that Penn State wasn't really great in the preseason, like the way they looked. Matt, I think it's going to take some time.
I heard that too.
For Shrewsbury. I think John Harrar is going to have a field day against Youngstown's front court. He'll have like 20 rebounds.
10 offensive rebounds is not off the table for John Harrar.
Youngstown's roster, it's kind of so. I don't know. I think they can stay competitive in this game because I'm not sure Shrewsbury has Penn State where it needs them to be. I have questions about Cornwall and Pickett. So I actually lean towards the Penguins with the points here.
Yeah, I don't have a strong take on either of these teams, to be honest. I kind of feel like, they're just who they are right now. I'm going to wait and evaluate on both of them for the time being.
Yeah, that's a good point though. Like the fact that Penn State's backcourt is basically a mid-major backcourt and they're laying 17 points. It's a better backcourt, no question, than Youngstown, but just still doesn't. You'd probably expect to see that number a little bit closer to 15, mid-teens, low teens.
All right, let's move down to the last main board game that has not been discussed yet. That is the Quakers of Penn headed on the road to Florida State. Penn making their debut after 2 seasons off. Obviously last year, I guess 1 season off, put it that way, but haven't played since March of 2020. Meanwhile, Florida State, they're Florida State again. They are overflowing with athletes. They're long. They've got some wing creators that can make plays. They've got a couple 7-footers that can dominate the paint. It's Leonard Hamilton against an Ivy League team. Is the athleticism edge just going to be way too overwhelming?
Yeah, a bit of a theme today, Jim, just overwhelming size. I do think so. And I'm generally staying away from Ivy schools in the first couple games here. I want to see how they perform after a whole year off. We saw a couple teams do fine. I mean, Cornell beat Binghamton. I'm not sure if that's a accomplishment, but Columbia got waxed by Fordham. And that doesn't inspire any confidence.
I think they snuck in and covered barely.
Did they? I think they lost by 10.
They backdoored, wasn't it 10.5?
I think they're 2-0. Who else played yesterday? There's too many games. So many games yesterday.
Dartmouth got killed by Boston College. That doesn't mean Penn's way better than all those schools. And my number does lean towards Penn. I just think it's going to be such a disadvantage inside with Florida State. I mean, they're playing Michael Wang at the 5. It's just not going to go very well, I don't think. Obviously, they're well coached, Matt. They're going to have a game plan. Donahue is fantastic at figuring this stuff out, but I think you have to be a little scared of Florida State here. I'm just curious actually to watch the newcomers of Florida State. Worley, Cleveland, Cameron Fletcher, Caleb Mills. I want to see how those guys integrate in their first game.
Of note, I believe Tanner Nyam, is that you say his name? The massive Ngam, one of the assembly line outputs of the Florida State big man factory. He's not playing today, but it's sort of like a shrug because they bring off the bench John Butler and Naheem McLeod, who are, I believe, McLeod's a top 15 JUCO prospect and Butler's a top 100 recruit, both like highly regarded pieces. They also both stand 7'1" and 7'3" respectively. So Florida State still has plenty of size, and I think that will bother.
Yeah, Butler's like a wing too. Like he's like
you can look at the handle. It's like a Durante. He's crazy. That's too far. Sorry, too far.
It is too far. But Kyle, like you said, you're curious to see the newcomers with Florida State. I'm curious to see who's healthy for Penn. They had a couple guys that wouldn't have played last year. Michael Wang missed 2 years ago with microfracture surgery. Jonah Charles missed 2 years ago with an injury. He could start.
Ingles had injury issues as well. They're best player. So
So I'm looking at this one with a wait and see, especially on the Penn side. They're very reliant on precise execution offensively, and with the lack of continuity that they have. Game 1 against a team that forces a ton of isolation does not bode well for the Quakers offense. So a little bit of a lean to the under there for me, as long as Penn doesn't try to run with the Seminoles. All right, let's go back to the chat, Kai, before we get to our best bets for the day.
Yeah.
Anything else rolling in off the extra board?
We got one new question. I'm saving one of the other ones for the next section. Kodea wants to know about North Florida A&M total, Jim. He said he has an underlean. I think you did as well.
Yeah, this got smashed down. Opened like 145.5 and is down to, I think, 140.5 at BetRivers. Very, very much people wise to that. North Florida playing their second straight game. Second straight day, back to back for them.
Coming from Texas Tech, right? So Lubbock to College Station, right? Yeah. So
a very physical team at Texas Tech. And Texas A&M is super physical too, but they can't score. Their offensive weaponry is extremely deficient. They don't have a lot of shooting. I lean towards the under there as well. I don't love Texas A&M as a big favorite, but North Florida is on that back-to-back, so side would be a stay away.
They also bet up A&M to -17, -17.5 in some places from 16. So it sounds like the smart money is fading the North Florida offense in general.
Boy, it's tough to lay that many points with Texas A&M.
Yeah, they went 10 minutes last year without scoring against what game was that? Like the most epic scoring drive I've ever seen in my entire life.
My biggest regret yesterday was not betting against Mizzou, and today might be A&M.
Yeah, well, I think Virginia went 8 minutes without scoring yesterday. A team that we ourselves gave a little top 25 high to, but boy, that offense has some problems.
Fitting. Yep.
All right. Anything else here? I see a Temple question.
Yes, it was retracted, but I think it was just a typo. So Temple, let's talk. Temple versus Maryland Eastern Shore.
Another back-to-back, baby.
Almost won yesterday. They almost beat St. Joe's after getting down 15 in the first half. An embarrassment for St. Joe's. I'm sorry, that's an embarrassment.
Yeah, I docked him. That's absolutely terrible. I don't think UMES is any good. So I absolutely lean Temple in this game and hoping for a better showing from Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, Matthew.
Yeah, Mike Hopkins probably gets the award for WOT of opening night performances, losing to Northern Illinois on opening night at home. But if Billy Lang would have lost to Maryland Eastern Shore, that would have been an all-timer. So I hope people remember this score, not the result, but the closeness of this game. St. Joe is a real problem right now. This team has issues.
It goes with it's like a pattern of behavior rather than, 20-minute lost to Navy at home. Bad. Can't do that. But Pitt has lost a bye game like every single year. Jeff Capel. Washington has lost baffling games and been terrible offensively for multiple years in a row. And same thing with Billy Lang. That team has struggled multiple years in a row. So the eyebrows are very raised. Perhaps Eastern Shore is better than we thought, but I don't think so. I think Temple comes out with their really long guards, and they're much better defensively than St. Joe's. I think they will shut down that UMES offense.
Mm-hmm. Jim, that's it. Let's get to the best bets.
Best bets. All right. Kai, do you want to lead us off? Wants to lead us off?
Yeah, I'll lead us off.
Take it.
So we had two questions about this. So Seton Hall is my best bet. They're playing Fairleigh Dickinson. It is minus 25.5, big spread at BetRivers right now. I just cannot see this game being close. Fairleigh Dickinson's defense every year under Greg Correnda has been awful.
It's been horrendous.
Horrendous. They've never allowed less than 1.1 points per possession in 8 years. They've ranked inside Ken Palm's top 300 once. And I think Seton Hall just exploits them. Also, Fairleigh Dickinson is one of the youngest teams in the country. I think seven of their top 9 guys are freshmen and sophomores. They have 2 juniors. They have no seniors. And Seton Hall's big guys, Obiagu and Yetna, and they're going to eat all day long. I think it's going to be a blowout. So Seton Hall minus 25.5.
You have the winner here, Kai. I regret not joining you. Jared, did you hear it? There it was. You saw the camera shake, just to confirm. Jared Roden, I believe, is a game time decision. I mean, obviously a very important player, but I think this is a matchup where if this was a Big East game, I would put more stock in that, but it's not. It's against a team that's categorically less athletic defensively. I don't know how they stop Seton Hall even without Roden. There's plenty of options, plenty of size for the Pirates. I guess one thing for FDU, and the Correnda plays freshmen. He has historically, so they typically are more ready out of the gate than your usual freshman. But when you're starting, I think 3 freshmen and then you're like 4 sophomores, this is a young team. I think that shows tonight.
Yeah, I think they're starting a 5'10" freshman point guard, and he's going to be pressured by Kadari Richmond, a 6'5" super freak defensively.
Will not go well.
He's going to. I could see Antoine Jack turning it over like 7 times in this game. It would not be surprising.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yep, Kai, I think you are on the right side as well.
Thanks, guys. Wow. Really appreciate it.
Nice job, Kai, with the winner.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Let's not even play the game. Let's just give me the win.
Perfect. Matt, recap yours. I think you had 2, I believe, New Mexico and Northern Colorado. Is that correct?
Yep, 2+1ers, Northern Colorado and New Mexico. So hopefully they both lose by 1 and we get 2 pushes. It'd be a fine outcome for me.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Wow. That'd be great. No, it wouldn't be. My best bet is another extra board under. Kai did declare me the Undertaker. Matt brought it up yesterday on the stream. Taking the under, Tulsa, Northwestern State, 144.5. I believe it is on BetRivers right now. Northwestern State also playing back-to-back. They're without their best guard, Carvel Teasit, for the first semester due to, I believe, academics. Is that right, Kai?
Sorry.
Academics?
I think it's academics.
It's academics. He's out for the whole semester.
Yeah, that's bad. Whole time. Tulsa's defense is this zone that's going to gross up the game. Northwestern State has no time to prepare for it, and not a great shooting team as it stands. I think Tulsa's zone really dictates the tempo. I'll take the under 144.5 with the Demons on a back-to-back. That is my best bet. I also took Northern Colorado with Matt. That's right.
Good job, Jim.
All right. I think that is it, folks. Thank you for stopping in. We'll be back on Friday. Is that right?
Back on Friday. That's right.
Jim, we are off tomorrow. Yes.
Yep. Lightish slate. We usually will take one light slate off during every week. That happens to be tomorrow, Thursday. But there are 80 games on Friday. So we're going to be back with a big old show Friday, talking UCLA, Villanova, and everything else around that game. So we'll see you then. Thank you again to Field of 68. Thank you to BetRivers for sponsoring the show. We'll see you Friday, folks.